What is happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Mile High on Broad podcast. We're joined today by two friends of the show, Dan, who's been on here with us before, and Talon. We have a super fun and exciting episode for you guys today. We are going to be drafting a team to win the Super Bowl this year. So every player in the NFL is eligible for this draft. So we're saying everybody's a free agent, draft whoever you want. And we're going to build a team, and we're going to decide at the end who we think's team is the most stacked and who's actually going to end up winning the Super Bowl. The way we're going to lay this out is we're going to draft a coach, a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, and they have to be a wide receiver 2 on their current team to be eligible for that spot, a tight end, a team's offensive line, a team's pass rush, and a team's secondary. And that's how we're going to build out our teams. For those of you out there that love doing fantasy, we're going to do this as a snake draft. So before we all jumped on, we did a little random spin to see who was going to be picked first. Everybody thinks it's a little rigged. Somehow Mike got the number 1 pick. So he's going to pick first. Talon will pick second, Dan third. Somehow it's rigged, and I still ended up with the 4th pick. So we'll see how that turns out. But we're going to run through this. We're going to pick. We're going to kind of break down, players we're drafting, and we're going to see at the end who's able to put together the best team. I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys, are we all ready to draft?
Ready.
I don't know if we'll draft music, but Mike, we're going to go ahead and put you on the clock.
So I'm going to probably take this in a very different direction than most people probably would. And my logic for taking Devontae Smith as my wide receiver 2, as my first overall pick, is because I think he's the best number 2 in the game. And if we're doing wide receiver 1s, well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. So therefore, worst case scenario, I'm going to get the 4th best wide receiver in the league. But I think the difference between wide receiver 1 and 4 and the second best, and the best number 2 and the 4th best number 2, it's pretty substantial. So I think it's a pretty bold move, but I've thought it through and I'm sticking to it. So Devontae Smith, you're first off my board.
Interesting choice. All right, Talon, on the clock. Who's your number 1 pick?
All right, number 1 pick. It's going to be AJ Green. Or not AJ Green, my bad.
Nice. Oh, it's done. It's over.
It's over. Yeah.
I think he retired.
Wait, we can pick retired players?
Tom Brady anymore.
No,
Randy.
not AJ Brown. Sorry, not AJ Green. AJ Brown. Wrong color.
Back-to-back Eagles going in the first round.
Yeah, I want a number 1 deep threat wide receiver who jumps over everybody.
All right. Dan, are we drafting another wide receiver here?
No, give me Mahomes. You kidding me? Like, what?
I'm looking at this. I'm going, does he
Patrick
really?
Mahomes. This is the best quarterback in football. Mahomes, give me Mahomes. Like,
Does he
I don't
really
know how you
fall to me? All right, Mahomes 1. I don't think there's much debate there. I'm going to have to make this super simple, and I'm going to take Joe Burrow. Look, I think there's a lot of things that make a team, but successful. Quarterback is going to be number 1. Look, I get it. 4 quarterbacks are getting drafted, but there's a significant difference between a Mahomes who didn't make it to me, a Joe Burrow, and I think everybody else is left on my list as an option. So I'm going to go ahead and take Joe Burrow as my quarterback to start us off. Ooh, number 2. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and number 2. I'm going to put on the opposite side of the ball because I think that aside from having a great quarterback, the next best thing is you need to be able to beat up another team's quarterback. So I'm going to take the 49ers pass rush with my 2nd pick.
Solid.
I mean, look, with the addition of Javon Hargrave on top of the, pass rush that was already the best in the league last year, this team is going to absolutely dominate and get after that quarterback. Dan,
Best pass rush last.
Yeah, maybe in sacks.
Statistically, yeah, sure.
All right, Dan, who you got number 2?
I'm taking the actual best number 2 wide receiver on this list, which is Jalen Waddle, and putting him with Mahomes because I mean. I don't think I have to explain that one too much, but I mean, speed kills, and Mahomes has shown that when he's got fast guys that are good at actually catching the ball, he's pretty unstoppable.
I'm not gonna lie, Waddle was my number 1 wide receiver 2 on my board. So, it looks like we're gonna have a wide receiver run here. I'm gonna have to not wait until it gets down a little bit deeper.
I think it's interesting that we both took number 2s, though, Dan.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that I look at it is, you have less. There's less variance in the top 5 ones than there are in the top 5 2s. And it's not necessarily that there aren't talented guys, but like the type of receiver that I want to put with Mahomes at the 2 there's only a few of those.
It's gonna be scary to see how this could end up here in another comeback on the pick. So, Talon, who you got? You're on the clock.
All right, taking Allen as my quarterback. I think he's probably the second best quarterback behind Mahomes.
You're taking him over Joe Burrow?
I took Joe Burrow.
Ben already took
No,
Burrow.
no. He sorry, you're saying he's second best behind Joe.
Oh, yeah. I think Burrow's number 3.
Okay.
All
Interesting.
right, Mike, back on the clock.
Yeah, we're going back to the wide receiver room. Give me the best wide receiver in the league. Give me Justin Jefferson.
I knew you were
Give
going
me
to
a
take him.
Yeah, man, he's my boy. I can't help it. I've been a fan of Justin Jefferson ever since he came into the league. He's taken the league by storm ever since he's come in. And I think last year he was the best wide receiver in the league. I know who your guy is, Ben, but he was hurt this year. So I'm going to say Justin Jefferson, who's also definitely in his prime. No questions about him. So, yep, I'm taking him.
I don't hate the pick for you. I just hate the pick for what it means that Dan's going to be able to do on his pick. So
fair enough. I don't know where that's going to take Dan, but I guess we will find out here momentarily. Next, I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to. I have to wait on quarterbacks because you guys all have your quarterbacks. So I can wait till the very last pick of the draft to take my quarterback, and I think I'm still locked in. From here, I think I'm going to go. I mean, what better place to go than, I guess, other than to protect your quarterback? Give me the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I think that they were the best offensive line in the league last year. Jason Kelsey's returning. We re-signed. We re-extended, even though this is only for 1 year. But we'll still have Lane Johnson. We have Landon Dickerson, who's got another year under his belt. Just all in all, we have some pretty big studs all across that offensive line.
can't argue with you. All right, Talon, back on the clock.
All right. I'm gonna go running back, and I think I'm gonna take Derrick Henry.
Nice. Building a big team there. You got
Yeah,
AJ Brown is a big guy. You got big Josh Allen. You got
I want huge freaking guys.
He's got some
biggest team in the league.
Some
Talent.
size here.
Yeah. Might not be the best, but be the biggest.
All right, Dan. Let's see if I'm right here. I'm going to write it down on this piece of paper here, who I think you're going to take, and we're going to see if I'm right.
Gonna have some dramatic effect here. Dan, do you even know where you're going with this yet? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, I know exactly.
Okay. All right.
As soon as I got Mahomes, I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking Kelsey. Kelsey.
It's not where I thought we were going.
Okay. Where'd you think he was going, Ben? Or are you not giving him ideas?
I can't tell you because he still has the open spot.
Yeah, no, my reasoning behind it is still head and shoulders the best tight end in the league. Chemistry with Mahomes, let's try to stop that. Even if Waddle was the 1 and Kelsey as the second receiving option, I'd try to stop it.
Man, all right, so I know I should take this guy to keep him from Dan, but I'm gonna have to go with my guy. I'm gonna take Cooper Kupp as my wide receiver 1.
That's where I thought you were going.
And I think I'm going to follow it up with a running back who, in my opinion, is the best running back in the league. And I'm going to take CMC as my running back. Burrow,
Say,
Christian McCaffrey,
there? Yeah.
Cooper Kupp. Just lining it up here.
All right, so you're going the Bill Belichick route. You're taking all white guys. I got it.
We got the whitest team, the biggest team.
Is Joe Burrow really white?
I mean, that's a good point. That is a good point.
All right, Dan, that puts you back on the clock. Let me grab my pick again. All right.
Well, I mean, I think you might have it right now. But I don't know if I want to go that route. I'm gonna leave that alone for a minute.
Because you don't have to take it now, but I'll leave it because I know that that's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that decision. And what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and take my coach, and I'm gonna go with Andy Reid.
Nice coaching pick. He was who I was contemplating taking last round.
Like, he knows how to use that.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically reassembling the Chiefs, but with a better receiving force so far. It's going to be kind of hard to argue with that.
But you take the Super Bowl champs, and then you just make them better.
Right. That's the goal. That's the target here. Better Super Bowl champs.
All right, Talon. I think that puts you back on the clock here.
All right. I'm going to go D-line, and I'm going to go with the Chargers D-line.
Interesting.
Get some Bosa action in there.
Bosa and Mack, and I like it.
There's Khalil Mack is there, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the Chargers they underperform from what they're expected. That sometimes people forget that how actually talented that team is. No, he went from the Raiders to
you're right,
the Bears
right.
and then down to the Chargers.
Right.
So
yeah. So now you got Bosa and Mack, and they're both healthy on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
it's constant pressure. I think they were like 3 or 4 for quarterback pressures last season. So
yeah, actually I kind of forget the talent that's on that team because they just fall flat on their face so much. You just forget that they have talent. They just can't seem to use it right.
Yeah, well, blame coaches for that.
Yeah, he's not good.
So you're telling me you're not going to draft what's his name?
Staley.
Staley? You're not going to draft Staley as your coach then, you don't think, Talon?
Probably not.
Is Urban Meyer on the table? Can somebody take him?
Well, hey, we drafted AJ Green earlier, so I don't see why not.
Fair.
All right, Mike, back on the clock. We got Dan. Dan's building the Chiefs. You're building the Eagles. Let's see where you go with this pick.
Yeah, with this pick, I'm actually going to stray away from that. From here, now that the best tight end is taken off the board, I think I'm going to go to the people's tight end. Going with George Kittle there. I think he's clearly, I think he's the most well-rounded tight end, but that's not to say that he's better than Kelsey. I think Kelsey's clearly the better receiving threat. Now I understand there's some health concerns, but I'm going to bank on the fact that Kittle's going to be able to stay healthy for me this year, and he's just a great run blocker, pass blocker when needed, and it's a great receiving threat too. So taking Kittle.
Back to back. Where are we going?
Back to back. I think from here, gosh, where do I want to go with this? I think I'm going to go running back, and I think I'm probably going to take my guy Ken Walker. So give me the guy that was a rook. I like Ken Walker a lot. I think Seattle's offensive line is okay. Putting him behind the Eagles' offensive line, which is elite. He put up some great numbers last year. I think putting him behind an even better offensive line, I think he would have a monster season for us. He had plenty of breakthrough runs last year, and I think he would just be a stalwart behind that O-line.
All right. Ding, Talon, you're on the clock.
All right, going for wide receiver 2 this time. I'm going to take Tyler Lockett.
Not a bad choice.
Lock.
Yeah, always been a Lockett fan.
Same. I've always liked Lockett.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just going to go down there, do this really simple route, and catch the ball. That's my career, and he's doing it.
And every once in a while, he's going to have like one game a season where he's going to have like 12 catches for like 200 yards and a touchdown. You're going to be like, where did this come from?
Yep.
I like it.
All right, Dan.
Give me the Cowboys secondary.
Interesting.
Yeah, Diggs and newly signed Stephon Gilmore. I mean,
Gilmore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the.
Does Gilmore still have it?
Yeah,
As a 2, I think he's definitely got cornerback 2 ability at this point in his career.
he allowed just it was like an 82% passer rating when thrown at last season. So he's still got it for sure. Yeah, I think that's the best pass defense in the NFL right now. I mean, just in terms of secondary. So, yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right, I guess that puts me on the clock here. Luckily, I don't have to drive a wide receiver 2 now, which is good because I think my guy's still on the board here. Where do I want to go here? I think I'm going to go ahead and draft an offensive line to protect Joe Burrow, something he's not had his entire career. So I think he's good now. Wait till I can protect him. Eagles were my number 1. Mike took them. So I'm going to go with my number 2 O-line, and I'm going to take the Chiefs offensive line at number 2.
You got them as the 2?
Yeah, I think I got them 2. Look, to me, it's them or the 49ers. 49ers lost their right tackle. I think they have the best. I think the Niners have the best left tackle in all of football, but I think the Chiefs just signed a new right tackle. They have Orlando Brown at left tackle, and they have probably the second best center in all of football right now. So I feel pretty safe throwing them in there to protect him.
Orlando Brown left.
Oh, he did leave, didn't he? Well, I guess there's nobody anchoring that side of my line, and we'll see how this goes.
I think you have a right tackle playing left tackle now.
That's true. That's true. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess.
So we had AJ Green. We've who did Dan ask for to be drafted, and now we've got we're bringing back what's his name back to the Chiefs. So yeah, we're making up our own rules here. It's fun. It's fine.
That's right.
We know football. I promise.
Man, I guess I'm going to go with tight end then. I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson.
I like that.
Look, I think Andrews might be a better receiver, pure, straight up, but Hawkinson is a big enough guy. He's a good blocker, and he can receive really well. He proved that last year, so I think he's just a very well-rounded tight end. I want a guy who can get in there and block. It's kind of the reason I took Kupp over some of these other wide receivers, because if I want to go with more of a run attack, I want to be able to have guys that are willing to get in there and block. Hawkinson, for Kupp, those are guys that are going to do that. So I'm going to take my boy TJ Hawkinson at tight end.
Okay.
Dan, that'll put you back on the clock.
Give me the Ravens O-line. Second in pass and run block last year.
That's a good O-line pick.
They were solid.
They know how to work with a quarterback who extends the play too. So
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, Talon.
All right. I'm taking the Browns O-line.
that's what I was looking at too.
They're also solid.
I think they're one of those under the radar one. People aren't ready to like deal with them, and then all of a sudden, Josh Allen's got all day.
All righty, Mikey. Back to back. Who we got?
I feel weird taking this pick, but I think that last year he proved to be nothing short of an elite head coach. And so I'm going to end up taking Brian Daboll with my as my coach. So I know he's young. I know it's only been 1 year, but I mean, he was fantastic last year. I don't know how in the world the Giants made it to the playoffs. I mean, that was a team, and they won a playoff game too. That was a team that going into the season, I think everybody had winning 4, 5, 6 games maybe. Clearly, he's a great situational coach because he was excellent in one possession games. So, yeah, I'm going to take Brian Daboll as my head coach.
I love this pick because it means that both my top coaches are still on the board for me.
how in the world is Andy Reid not your top coach right now?
Here's my three.
He's not mine either, but he's the best fit for what I have. He's not.
True.
Yes.
Reed I would have put him at 2 or 3, but I also knew that Reed was going to be the first one to go. So his name ended up getting written down 3rd on my list. Not that I think that he's necessarily better than my 2, but
Fair enough. From there, I'm going to go with secondary, and I'm going to take the Bills secondary. They brought back some pieces from free agency. So they have top 5 corner in Tre'Davious White. They have Kyer Elam. They have Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde still there. So I like the continuity. They've been very, very solid for a couple of years now. So yeah, I'll take them.
Talon.
All right. I'm gonna go coach, and I'm gonna take Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins.
Not bad. I like
either.
I like his way of thinking. I think he just has to learn how to think coaching minus Tua. But I think he's got the creativity of Andy Reid, and he's a lot younger and eats a lot less cheeseburgers. So he's got to work on that part. But he's solid.
All right, Dan. You got 3 spots left: a running back, a wide receiver 1, and a pass rush. Let me get my paper ready here.
Oh, you got a guess now? Oh, it's the guess.
Same.
Okay.
It's the same one.
Well, I'm going to take the Patriots pass rush.
Oof. Yep.
They were 3rd last
Good
year.
pass rush.
They got Judon, who's elite. Josh Uche, who is young, up and coming, and a monster.
Moving Uche up front was the best decision Bill did all last year.
Yep, I'm taking that pass rush. Give me that all day.
Hey,
The
look,
only
you can-
question I'm going to have is, do you think that any of that is maybe Bill's scheme? Because we've seen players not work before outside of his scheme.
Yeah, but we're not drafting defensive schemes. We're just drafting talent.
That's fair. And I guess in general, that was just my question was, do you think it's a talent or do you think it's a scheme thing?
I think defensive line wise with the Patriots, it's never been a scheme thing. That it's always talent. They have a good pass rush. Because I mean, you look at years, they have big fluctuations in their pass rush. Their secondary, not so much. Their secondary is always solid in that scheme. They can plug and play corners with the best of them, and then they leave and they're terrible everywhere else. Like,
Yep, I agree.
JC Jackson.
Yeah, JC Jackson, Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, I mean, Judon's a stud before he went there, and he's the same stud he was before. So it's Bill's ability to take away a star wide receiver or star tight end. That's the scheme part of it. The send your big boys to beat up on somebody. That's just talent.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that Belichick is also very good at finding defensive line talent. So I think that they have a lot of talent. Yeah.
All right, so I guess
Chris Barmore, he's a monster when he's healthy.
They're from Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that leaves me up. Nobody can touch my coach or my wide receiver. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and draft my secondary now. This might catch the people by surprise.
Are you taking the Broncos?
I'm going to take the Broncos secondary. Look, you got arguably the best corner in the league right now. You have one of the top 3 safeties in the league, and you have one of the top 5 best slot corners in the league. To me, as a secondary, that's a pretty solid lineup. The Eagles were on my thought process as well, but losing both of their safeties kind of checked that out for me. I still think they have the best cornerback duo in the league, but with no help over the top, I just couldn't make that move. So I'm going to take the Broncos at secondary. And I guess I'll go ahead and take – I guess I'll leave coach for last just to spice things up again since I have the very last pick. I'll take my wide receiver 2 to pair with Cooper Kupp. I'm looking at my list. I'm going to go with somebody who has some real big play ability. I'm going to take wide receiver 2, Mike Williams.
Knew it. Knew it.
I would have taken a wide receiver 2 and taken Waddle way sooner, but with you taking him that early, it's going to leave me with some other guys. But Mike Williams' big play ability is just too much for me to pass up. I think coin flip he could be a 1, so I'm going to take Mike Williams.
Oh, definitely. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with my running back here, and I'm doing throwback to Andy Reid's Eagles days when
LaShawn
LaShawn
McCoy?
was one of the better receiving backs, and I'm gonna take Austin Eckler.
I like it.
Ooh,
I think that they can scheme him in there.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, especially for your team with Mahomes and Reed. It's a really good running back to have. I mean, we saw what they did with Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt's not nearly the receiving back that
Are all the backs taken? We all got a back right now.
Yep,
think so.
everybody's back. Nobody took JT and nobody took Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I was tempted to. I mean, I was looking at Taylor. I was looking at Jacobs. I was looking at Saquon. I was looking at and then I thought like we could go speed, and I could take like Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a lot of fun with that team. But I mean, Eckler's he's the best version of the receiving back right now. So
I think he's the best fit too, because you got a guy that, I mean, with the Mahomes, you don't need a guy who's going to be huge. You don't need a guy. You got a guy who is good in the pass. He's good in the red zone. He knows how to find the end zone. He can do a little bit of everything really well. So I think for this team build, it's a great fit.
Yep.
All right, Talon, you got 2 spots left. You got a tight end and you got a secondary. Where are we going here?
I'm going secondary with Tampa Bay.
good choice.
I like it.
I don't think
All
they've
right.
slowed down.
All right, Mike. Back-to-back picks. Let's go ahead and fill out your roster. Last 2, you have a quarterback and a pass rush. How are you going to line this up?
God, I don't want to do it because
Russell Wilson. What?
well, I mean, that was the clear and obvious pick. I thought we all knew that one was coming. I thought that was already marked down on my board for that.
I know what you're going to do, and I know why you don't want to do it, but it is probably the right move for both spots.
Yeah. I think it is. I think I have to take the Dallas Cowboys pass rush, and I really don't want to, but last year they were really, really good. I don't know how they haven't been picked up, but sucks because I really don't want them, but I think I have to take them. I think they're the right move for winning, especially without Jerry Jones getting in the way of things. So yeah, they were a top 5 defensive line last year. They were great in terms of points allowed, run yards, all that stuff. So
Micah Parsons.
yeah, Micah Parsons is absolute stud.
You had me at Micah Parsons.
Yep. Monster.
So, it's unfortunate, but it is the world that I now live in where I picked the Dallas Cowboys. So from there, last pick for me is at that quarterback position. I think we all have a feeling on where I'm going with this one. No surprises here. Give me the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles to continue to be the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts. So yeah, that'll be my quarterback. Number 2 last year in the league, just based off of just last year alone, took the team to the Super Bowl. He had one major hiccup in the Super Bowl with that fumble, but other than that, he played outstanding. He clearly showed that the moment wasn't too big for him. So yeah, no, I think that Jalen could lead a team to a Super Bowl.
All right, Talon. Last pick, tight end. How are you rounding out your team?
Well, I guess it's got to be Mark Andrews.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. You pick whoever you want. That's the beauty of this.
I mean,
You don't
if
want
we're trying to
Alvin
win, if we're trying to win, it's got to be.
Fair.
All right,
He also fits with my huge freaking guy setup I got going on. So
There's bigger guys though. There are bigger ones.
well, I could pick Donald Parham, but he's just big.
All
I
right.
don't even know if he can catch the ball.
I mean, you could draft a left tackle and move him to tight end for all I care. I mean, that'd fit your thing.
All right, so I've had this written down since pick 3, and he's just avoided it the whole time because he knew he didn't have to take one till now. So let's see if I get it right. Who's your wide receiver 1, Dan?
To be honest with you, I've been going back and forth, but I mean, the Bills, give me all the speed. Give me Tyreek.
Yeah.
Do it. I knew that's who I thought I would take, but like they've already proven that they're successful together. Like, I mean, again, try and stop it. Like, I don't see how it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Hill and when you said Mahomes and you said I got to take the speed, I'm like, you patch. You're able to put Waddle and Hill together with a Patrick Mahomes and not a Tua. I mean, that is disgusting. You got a big body guy like Kelsey. I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah, and not only that, plus Eckler too to catch the ball. Like, again, how do you cover all that? I don't think there's any team that has the talent to do that.
All right, so I guess that leaves me last with my my coach. I'm gonna take a homegrown boy. I'm gonna take Kyle Shanahan to lead my team to the promised land, hang out under the confetti.
I mean, not if he doesn't throw the challenge flag in the NFC Championship game, but
I can't believe you didn't go Sean Payton.
So that's who I had at number 2 was Sean Payton.
Sean Payton above Andy Reid.
Like I said, look, 1 and 2. I figured Andy Reid would go sooner, but
how
that's
do you
my
have,
1 and 2. How do I have? Because in 15 years he had the number 1
No,
passing
no,
offense, the number 1 scoring
no,
offense in points per game.
Stop. No,
That's-
wrong
that's
guy.
how.
Wrong guy. Stop. Wrong guy. I'm talking about how do you have Shanahan above Andy Reid?
I just think Shanahan is a genius, and I like the fact that I also get to couple that with the Mike Shanahan in the background, so I get a little bit of
Yeah.
both
Okay.
Shanahan.
So it was a Shanahan thing. It had nothing to do with him actually being better.
It's absolutely a Shanahan thing.
I'm curious how nobody picked the
McVay,
most Super Bowls.
Bill.
No, nobody picked Belichick. Like,
I think
I wanted to, but I didn't want to be that guy.
I mean, honestly,
Well,
I think
look, let's be honest. Bill isn't big enough, so you couldn't take him, Talon.
Yeah,
Well,
I
the
think
problem is that Bill went on a diet, so that ruined it for me.
You took the smallest head coach in the entire league, so that doesn't
Yeah.
count. Look,
Smallest guy coaching the biggest guy.
Yeah.
like wait. But the point here, though, again, we're trying to win Super Bowls, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. So
how
why?
many people here picked a coach that's won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, but I mean, am I picking Tom Brady or am I picking Belichick?
I mean, it's not all Brady, and I think everybody knows that. Like, let's be serious here.
No, I know.
Not all,
It's
it's
a
not
debate
all
I've
Brady.
had for a long time. So yeah.
It's a lot of Adam Vinatieri.
Like, they won the Super Bowl against the Rams.
Yeah, the first one. Then they beat the Panthers. Then they beat the Eagles. Yeah.
Oh no! I'm saying the
McVay
latest
Rams.
one,
Oh, okay.
they made the move to go and get Brian Hoyer, who basically, like, that was Belichick. He told them that the Sean McVay offense doesn't stand up to pass rush. They literally went and said that's its weakness, and then that's how they won. Like, it was a 13-3 game. They couldn't touch him, and nobody stopped that team that entire year. Like, that's not Brady.
Yeah, I think the issue personally with my team, at least, so with having I have young guys all over my squad, and we just know how this generation is when you get coached at like that. These young guys, they don't like to get coached hard. So I don't know if it would be a great scheme fit or not with my guys. I don't know if it would mesh or not. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But yeah, that was my. I don't know.
Bill's definitely in my top 5 coaches currently in the league. I mean, I'd have to sit down and think where I put him overall, but
Right. No. I
don't disagree with him being up there. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
The goal's to win the Super Bowl. He's got 6. Combined, the 3 you picked have 0.
I concur. Hey, look, I didn't see DeBall or McDaniels getting picked, so. All right, we're going to run through these teams real quick, and then we'll have some discussions if anybody wants to pick apart any of these guys that we took. So we'll run through Mike's team, Talon's team, Dan's team, and my team. So, Mike, here's what your team looks like all said and done. You got Brian DeBall heading this team up. You got Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Kenneth Walker at running back, Justin Jefferson and Devontae Smith at your wide receivers, Kittle playing tight end. You're anchoring them behind the Eagles' offensive line, and then your defense is made up of the Cowboys' pass rush and the Bills' secondary. Talon, you're bringing in Mike McDaniels to coach your Super Bowl team, led by Josh Allen. You got Derrick Henry, the king, at running back, A.J. Brown at wide receiver, ton of size here, Tyler Lockett, very shifty wide receiver. Mark Andrews, an elite wide receiving tight end. Then you got the Browns offensive line, your defense, Chargers and Bucks. Dan, Andy Reid, I think we can all agree, maybe top 2 coach of all time. He's definitely way up there. You got Chiefs light, Patrick Mahomes, Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Kelsey, the Ravens O-line, the Patriots pass rush, and the Cowboys secondary.
I'm going to stop you there, Ben. That's not the Chiefs light. It's Chiefs 2.0 because it's clearly an upgrade. So,
Yeah.
Well, they have a wide receiver, so that's a good start.
They
My
have 2
team,
wide receivers.
my team, we got Mike Shanahan, Joe Burrow, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Mike Williams, TJ Hawkinson, the Chiefs offensive line, and we have the 49ers pass rush and the Broncos secondary. Definitely went with more of a heavy defense, run the ball, Mike Shanahan style team build here. So I think it kind of worked out. So here's what I want to do real quick before we break down who we like and don't like. I want to see who you guys think the best team was that was drafted. So, Mike, who was the best team that was drafted?
I mean, I think it's kind of hard to argue against having arguably the best coach, the best quarterback in the league, on top of having a guy that was already with them before and won a Super Bowl. So I'm going to have to say kudos to Dan. I think Dan probably won this one.
All right, Talon, who's your number 1 team?
I'm gonna say Dan probably took it with the upgrade of the Chiefs upgrade. It basically looks like a Madden team right now.
All right, Dan, I guess who do you think is your best team?
I mean, I don't want to like pick myself. I don't know. I think that the Burrow, McDaniels, or the Burrow. Sorry, I think your team, Ben. If
Shanahan?
I'm not mine, I think Burrow, Shanahan, throwing to Mike Williams as the 2. Like, there's a lot there. It's going to be tough to stop.
So I appreciate you giving me the vote, but I also have to pick Dan's team. I mean, look, Mahomes alone, I think, sets him apart. But I mean, this team on offense is just ridiculous, and you have a very stout defense to kind of couple it. But defense aside, this offense is going to be ridiculous. 50 points, easy, while they're sleeping. So yeah, Dan, I think your team, Chiefs 2.0. I'm going to give it to them. So kudos on drafting the best team for our Super Bowl draft. Anybody got any closing thoughts, players they loved or hated?
I mean, I think we kind of got,
Oh, I was going to say, Ben, I think you made a mistake going for Kupp instead of pairing the size and taking DK Metcalf. I mean, like, legitimately, like
we all know how much Ben loves DK.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I don't know. I just think like you could have given your offense a little bit more dynamic capability. DK or like Devontae Adams, one of those 2.
Yes, I think.
How did Adams go undrafted?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this pick for me was it was a favoritism pick. Like, Cooper Kupp is one of my guys, right? Like, so I think I drafted him more so, and I drafted him really early too, right? So it's not like I waited to kind of see how some other things fell, but I think I took him over that. I mean, honestly, if I didn't get him, my initial thought was I could draft a wide receiver 1 late, and I could get a big body guy, and AJ Brown was my sneaker that was going to be able to pop in there. So I didn't think AJ Brown would get snagged at all, and I could just pick him up late if I wanted to be my big body guy, but that didn't work. So, but no, like I agree.
Honestly,
Adams and Evans were my other 2 kind of big body red zone guys that I would have taken over
the other one you might have considered there would have been Debo to go with.
Ben, like, really, you didn't like Debo, do you, Ben?
I don't have a problem with Debo. No, I mean, look, initially I didn't know where I was going to end up at with coach, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously looking back, saying, hey, Shanahan's my guy, pairing him with a Debo makes a lot of sense, but not knowing if I was going to end up with a Peyton or a Shanahan or an Andy Reid, I wanted to go with a guy that was going to have more ability. Now, sadly, looking at my team as I put it together, it really is a Shanahan style. We got a bunch of blockers and we got a bunch of running game and a heavy defense, so Really kind of fell apart that way. Mike, why? I know you kind of mentioned it, but Devontae
Sure.
Smith, 1 overall over a quarterback.
Sure.
What made you make that decision?
Well, I mean, maybe in hindsight, probably taking, Pat Mahomes may have been the better idea. But my just general thought process is like wide receivers too can get kind of shallow kind of quick. And so I just wanted to make sure that, I was pairing, I was making sure I was watching the depth of the wherever everyone was falling, where everyone was lying. And I think just wide receiver 1 was, there's probably 8 or 10 guys you can make an argument for being in the top 5. Running backs, there's a million of them. They're a dime a dozen. They're anywhere. They're everywhere. And I think in my head, I kind of got more stuck in because we were doing a draft. In my head, I went fantasy, and I'm thinking in my head that the difference between quarterback 1 and quarterback 4 is negligible. But that I think that was kind of where I got myself in a. I don't even know if I would say trouble, because I don't think Jalen is a bad pick. He's clearly only done it for 1 season. But having more security in a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes is, in hindsight, definitely the better move.
Yeah, to me, Mahomes is Mahomes. I mean, to me, that was the only one option, just because he's good at everything. But I don't necessarily disagree with your thought. But to me, Mahomes was the one. Final thoughts, Mike and Talon. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can jump in real quick. My only thought was, I mean, we talked about this after the show for the running backs. There's just so many running backs, man. Like to me, it's just crazy that there's just so many guys left on the board that, like you said, Jonathan Taylor, he led the league in rushing 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago, he was talked about, hey, is it him or is it Derrick Henry? And, it was a back and forth. And now we just did our little thought experiment here and wasn't even drafted in the top 4. So, it's just running backs are everywhere. Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing this year. Nobody picked him. So, yeah, just running backs are everywhere.
I just feel like Josh Jacobs is a fluke, a 1-year fluke.
I can see that.
I don't see him having the year he did next year. And Henry's consistent.
Oh, yeah.
First year he's been hurt. Plus, if I get to the 1-yard line, I could run the ball.
Good point.
I don't know. Well, the other thing to consider is a lot of times these guys, the running backs that we're looking at is oh, maybe he's a 1-year fluke. What's the O-line behind? We're drafting a different O-line to put him behind. And I mean, I think with Jacobs, a lot of times it was just scheme and, he wasn't getting the touches. He wasn't getting used out of the backfield. He's always been a pedigree guy. I mean, he was probably the best running back in that class coming out of college. I don't think it's necessarily he needs to be top 4 by any means. But I mean, I will argue that I think he's a better pick than Kenneth Walker.
Think so?
He was the best rookie running back last year. I mean, I think that you take Taylor, you take Jacobs, you take, I mean, there's a couple of guys that, I mean, Saquon there,
Well, Mike hates Saquon, but I do agree I was looking at this. I'm like, who's my most shocking pick? That was probably it. That was probably the pick that caught me most off guard was Kenneth Walker at running back.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big believer in Kenneth Walker. I mean, I think he's just an absolute stud. I don't know. I was a big fan of him coming out. I think he proved last year. So he didn't even start off as running back 1. That was Rashad Penny for a handful of weeks until Ken Walker finally was given, not given, he had to take the rings there because Penny did what Penny does, and now he's an Eagle, and which is get hurt, in the 4th game of every season. But yeah, he was clearly very explosive. I think he still notched over 1,000 yards, despite, like I said, not being the starting running back for the whole year. And I don't think Seattle's O-line is anything special. I don't think they're poor, but I think Ken Walker behind the Eagles' offensive line would cause a lot more problems than I think you guys maybe you're thinking of, maybe not. But he's also a good pass catching back. So I don't think that I think that aspect's probably a little bit underrated on him too.
All right, Talon, wrap us up. Final thoughts.
I almost went with my number 2 running back would have been Pollard, which I think would have thrown you guys for the loop. I think Tony Pollard is a stud, and he just hasn't had his shot.
It would not have thrown me through as much of a loop as Ken Walker. I mean, look,
Well, not Walker.
there's a ton of depth at running back, so I agree. I mean, like,
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to be. I mean, like the Walker pick was my one where I was like, "What are you doing?" But I don't not like Kenneth Walker, you know.
Right.
But so like I can't even say that that's a bad pick. It's just like there's a ton. I mean, you drafted Pollard. I think there are guys better than Pollard, but like I don't disagree that Pollard hasn't gotten a shot, and maybe with 20 touches, the dude's one of the best in the league. So I mean, I get it. I don't disagree. But yeah, look, Henry is clearly better than Pollard. So
yeah, I had to take him. I had to take him. We're gonna run it up the middle, and then we're gonna flea flicker, and AJ Brown's gonna be open in the end zone. We're gonna beat.
So you created the Titans from a couple of years ago, is what you did.
I created the good Titans.
Yeah, the number 1 seed Titans that went 13-3 and then got bounced in the first round.
Yeah,
No, I know.
I solved the playoff problems by
There you
having
go.
a better quarterback.
There you go. Yeah, you're telling me Marcus Mariota or Tannehill aren't elite? Come on now.
Yeah. No, but Dan, I can congratulate you on the best team. I didn't even think about just taking the Super Bowl team and just making it better.
It wasn't my plan. I didn't think at 3 that I would get Mahomes, but it worked out nicely. And I mean, I think to your point, like at running back with the O lines that these teams are going to have, like you can kind of put anybody into them. There's just a few guys that like separate themselves by doing something extra. I think Henry's one of them. I think CMC is one of them. I think Eckler's one of them, but only with a certain build.
I would say Eckler's a very different back, but yeah, I think under your scheme, he's different for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally think Jonathan Taylor's one of them too. But after that, like pick your poison. Like they're all going to be behind a good O-line. They're all going to get the job done. I mean, we probably didn't factor in pass blocking into any of this stuff. So I don't know how good of a pass blocker Kenneth Walker is, but I think that's why he wasn't starting at first.
In that case, I want to go back. I want to draft Zeke Elliott. Done. I'm taking Zeke.
I would like to point out that I did draft the Chiefs, who no longer have a left tackle, but at least my running back, tight end, and wide receiver can all block for me. So I'm just gonna have Mike Williams catch passes. I'm gonna put 4 guys on that end of the line to block for me.
I got no worries about blocking. I got the biggest team in the league. All right, we're blocking everybody.
I mean, I have the best O-line and the best pass blocking and run blocking tight end in the league. I think I'm okay on that too. It's my running back. I'm shaky on. I don't know. I have no idea. Ken Walker could be the second best run blocking running back in the league. I have no idea, or pass blocking, whatever. I have no idea what Ken Walker does.
I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter. Like,
no, I know, yeah.
If you take Ken Walker, you take Josh Jacobs, you take Aaron Jones or Pollard or whatever, it's gonna end up kind of the same behind the right O line. I mean, like, it wouldn't be a good fit, I don't think, to put Jalen Hurts with Derrick Henry. But outside of that, whatever, Yeah.
We talk about Derrick Henry running behind the Browns O line. Like Nick Chubb's already talked about as a number
Nick
2
Chubb
best
either.
Yeah, I mean, but we talk about Nick Chubb as the second best pure runner in all of football, and he runs behind that line. And now you have Derrick Henry, who runs behind a not great offensive line, is now running behind that line.
Yeah.
2,000 plus yards by week 10.
Right.
I hope so. And that's also why I went with Josh Allen, because I didn't want to scramble quarterback if I got Henry in that O-line. I just want someone with arm power who's just going to sit back there and just launch it at people.
Boom. I mean, you wanted arm talent, you could have just drafted Zach Wilson.
Right. I mean, Matt Stafford has a lot of arm talent too.
And he has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I mean, look, this was fun. How do you guys feel about doing a worst team possible draft?
Oh God. Like, wait, do they?
We have to put rules here. Like worst, like it has to be of the same wide receiver one. It has to be the same group of wide receiver ones, kind of a thing. Or are we talking like I need to look into who the hell is on the Eagles kicking squad?
They have to be a starter, I guess. I mean, so like, sure, like you have to be a starting quarterback, I guess, or versus me picking Zach Wilson, right? Like he's the backup. Well, technically, I guess he's still the starter since Aaron Rodgers hasn't been traded. So like you have to pick somebody who's technically a starter. So we're not going like seventh guys down and being like, well, he's never going to see it. So he's on the field, but he's the worst wide receiver one, and that's how we could do it.
So we're doing worst starters team.
Worst starters team. We can do that next week if you guys are down.
Okay, we could do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm down. Worst starters. Like I have a strategy for it planned out already.
Oh no.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. You heard it. We're going to do a worst starters team next year. We're seeing who can put together the absolute worst team, an 0-16 team. So make sure you guys come back next week. Join us and see who we got going 0-16 next week. See you then.
0-17, Ben. 0-17.
Shit, there's no. Well, they're not going to get to play 17 games because they're going to be so bad. They're just going to kick them out.